the best melee class, is quite strong and can do a lot as long as you are somewhat patient to check what the enemies are. Um, First, we'll go over the passive and ultimate. The passive, kills with melee or bleed damage heal half of your max HP, and you resist 30% melee damage. Now, sometimes, for whatever reason, the melee or bleed damage heal half your max HP doesn't work. Sometimes I'll kill something and my health won't go up whatsoever, um, which is pretty annoying at times. And then the ultimate, Electro Blade, it stuns whatever you're hitting, and you also don't have a melee cooldown. You can just rapid fire your melees. So then you can melt stuff down because you don't have to wait for your melee to cool down in between each hit. And then you pair that with Shock Chain. Shock Chain will deliver your bleed, and you pair that up with Thrill of the Hunt, where you get forced healing and damage reduction near bleeding enemies. That is very nice. So you ult, hit something, Shock Chain will spread your bleed, and then you'll get that damage reduction from those bleeding targets. So then you can approach them. And then with short range deflection, once you're in that like 5-meter radius or range, then you will take 32% less damage. And then if they're bleeding, you take another 32% less. That's 64% damage reduction with some healing when you're near somebody. But that is ballistic damage reduction. You can't really tank boom shots unless you are perked and holding a breaker mace out. Blade Master does have 30% damage reduction as a perk, which is one of the more important perks for her, along with her speed, and her bleed in Horde is acquired through the perk. I think that the bleed damage should be a bit higher than your speed and damage reduction, but your speed and damage reduction should be around the same. And you need speed to close the distance. That way you give the enemies less time to do whatever they're doing, and you are right there when you need to be. And then you need the extra damage reduction so that you can also close the distance, so that these two can come into play. Energy Surge is great on quite a few maps. When you get 6 stim every half second, so 12 stim every second, when near 10 or when 10 meters from a tap, it's quite nice, because then with that stim it allows you to have more survivability consistently, especially at like a start of a wave. You can open up with like full stim, and that is very nice for being able to rush an enemy spawn, hit your ult, hit one guy, so then they all take that shock chain. And shock chain, it will stun them, just like the single target of the ult, it will stun them, but it doesn't happen instantly. Some of the time, it's like you'll hit a drone, there'll be a scion nearby, and your shock chain will hit them like 2 times, but they'll still fire, do whatever. And that's kind of annoying, so try to go to your big targets and then your little ones. And every hit of your melee is like 1 extra like hit of shock chain or something like that, because if you hit a scion 4 times, all of the drones will bleed out. And Brawler helps with that, because then your melee damage is increased, so then your bleed damage is increased, and you can be quite the boss killer. Short range deflection, we already talked about that. Ambush and Blade Dancer, I think they're neat cards, but they're not for me. I could see play styles where like you somehow get behind an enemy, kill it, and every kill increases your melee damage. It's pretty cool, because you know, you get cooldown, you get more damage, but I'm not a fan of these cards. I've tried Blade Dancer a couple of times. Uh, it didn't seem to make much of a difference, to be honest. And then Ambush, I haven't really given it a whole lot of chance, but that's just because I'm not ever behind enemies, really. I'm almost always just in front of them, or barely to the side, and then they turn around to me. Brutal Claw, I tried this out one game, and I didn't really think it was good, because the claw doesn't have enough ammo, and this doesn't make it have enough damage to be good. I have heard that it increases your melee damage, but even if it does, it's not enough. It's just like Blade Dancer, it's not significant. Brawler is the only damage you need, outside of perking your bleed damage, of course. Nasher Mastery, it's level 4. I haven't used it. I don't really think you should use it. Yeah, that's about it. You just melee, and you use the breaker mace. And then, if you wanted to, you could use a couple of salvos or some long shots to get your ult back if you just want to be like an ult blade master. On the flank, you know, I'm just not a fan of it, because it's, if they're at the side, if you're at their side or behind them, and it just doesn't happen a whole lot, and it's for ballistic damage. Blade Master is a melee class, and that's what I play her as. Venom Blade, enemies are weaker in escape, so you don't actually need Brawler for escape, and you could just use Venom Blade and have bleed. So it's a pretty good card, or it's a great card. 155 at level 5, 160 at 6, and that's a lot of bleed, especially in escape. I think it's like 1 or 2 swipes and in the Venom, and you'll down a drone and he'll bleed out. Deep Pockets and Banana Clip, I don't think that you'll ever need in escape, because you're a melee class, you're not a talent class, and you don't have talent damage, so I don't think it's good. Mid-range deflection, this you can use instead of energy surge if you have it higher than your energy surge, but I do think that energy surge is good, honestly, just past level 2. It's pretty good, and then once you get it to 4, you should definitely use it over this, in my opinion. Mid-range deflection does help close the gap on your enemies, but I honestly think that energy surge giving you full stim helps you close the gap better, because then, especially if you are playing near a tap and you're getting kills, you're right when you heal the full, you get your stim, so then you can take a sniper shot. You can take a sniper shot with 1 HP of stim. Nimble, I've heard that some people use this card on Blade Master. I've tried using it, and I'm just not a fan of it. I might not be utilizing it enough, but I would most definitely prefer any of the cards I have equipped, or mid-range deflection, or shock shield over nimble. You could probably get away with using it in escape, just because, you know, like there's no taps in escape, so you could use nimble instead and run around real quick. Shock shield, I used to use this instead of energy surge. I recently started using energy surge over shock shield, but I swapped between mid-range deflection and shock shield because they're just good survivability cards. And shock shield is full stim, 250, I'm pretty sure, is the standard stim cap. This is another good card that you could use over energy surge when it's a low level, but I think the energy surge is just amazing. And then Venom resistance, just if you're going to be playing Blade Master and Escape, you're probably going to be using this, because you're going to be using Venom Blade. And then Efficient Executioner, it's pretty nice. It's to support your teammates in escape, because it gives them an ammo pouch every execution. So on maps that don't have a lot of ammo, it is most definitely nice. Like if you have your Blade Master higher than your Tactician, then, or you could run both, a Blade Master and a Tactician, and have a lot of ammo for that third person. The ammo pouches don't give you explosive ammo, so it won't combine with the Tactician very well. Like, you can't give your tac ammo from this. At least I don't think so. And that's pretty much it for Blade Master. I don't think that you should really use any ballistics. I think that you should most definitely use your melee. And then the way to play is most definitely sit by your taps. Play your taps. And you could venture out occasionally, but you might die. And if you do ever leave your tap, it should be with your ultimate up. So then Shock Chain will be staggering the nearby enemies, making them not hit you, and you're going to be bleeding them. And then you could go like every few enemies. Like you could hit one guy 3 times, move on, hit another guy 3 times, move on, hit another guy 3 times, and just have a whole feed. And then, yeah, that's about it for Blade Master. You do want to watch enemy spawns. If you get, like, you know, your elite drones, for the most part, you could just move in on, as long as you're careful about it. Mulcher Scions, Boomshot Scions, and forgot that other enemy. Flame Grenadiers. All those are pretty dangerous. And then flyers you just can't really deal with. But Shock Chain will hit flyers, so that's pretty nice. But yeah, those Scions, you want to look out for them. You have flashbangs, so you want to use them. And you could throw a flashbang in, ult, and then go in on the Scion, and all the surrounding drones will die because you're killing it. And they'll die to Shock Chain. And then you probably want to wait a little while to go into spawns. I try and push the spawns early, and then all of a sudden mid-wave, after I'm in my ult, killed a few things, a Boomshot Scion spawns, shoots me, I'm dead. And that's not very fun. So it's definitely best to just kind of rotate the outer area of your base and just kill those like few enemies that are getting close or your teammates don't catch. And for dropshot Scions, they're easy to deal with. So like you just see where they're putting their dropshot at, and then you just roll away. And then you can sprint at them and then just roll in one direction, left or right, and then they should miss. And then you could just run to them and kill them, and they should want to melee you. And as long as they're bleeding, with her passive and Thrill the Hunt, you won't down to a melee, which is very nice. And yeah, that is Blade Master.